section 222, which is titled Similarity. And we're going to be answering the question, how can I maintain the shape? So if you have the little patty paper, you can use it if you want, but it's not really necessary. I think you guys can see this without it, but you guys all have a piece, okay? So for part A, it says, which side of triangle A prime, B prime, C prime corresponds to CB? So here's CB and here's C prime, B prime. So those two correspond to each other, and which side corresponds to AB? And that would be side A prime, B prime. So AB goes to A prime, B prime. Okay? They correspond to each other. So what is the relationship of the corresponding sides? You're going to write down all of your observations. How could you determine the side lengths of triangle A prime, B prime, C prime? Hi. From the side lengths of, of triangle ABC. So here's what you're going to say. You're going to say that the side lengths are proportional. Okay. In this case, you can multiply by 2. Okay, just like we did the doubling and the tripling yesterday. Okay. So why does A prime, B prime lie directly on top of AB and AC lie directly, or A prime, B prime lie directly on top of AC, but B prime, C prime does not lie directly on BC because they pass through the point of dilation, okay, or the point, in this case, right at the origin. All right, so part D says, could you determine the side lengths of triangle A prime, B prime, C prime by adding the same amount of each side of triangle ABC? Try this and explain what happened. Okay, your answer, you're going to say no, because all the sides grew differently. So you can't just add the same amount, you have to actually multiply by 2. Okay, so if the side was 3, you could add 3, but if the side was 4, you'd have to add 4. You couldn't add 3. Okay, that's what it's basically asking. All right. Part E here says, Monica dilated triangle ABC to get a different triangle. She knows that A double prime, B double prime is 20 units long. How many times longer is then AB is A double prime, B double prime? How long is B double prime, C double prime? I just basically wrote it out so that you could see what was happening. So if we just look at side AB, it's 5 units. To get to A prime double prime, or A prime B prime, you're going to double it to get 10. Okay? To get A double prime, B double prime, you take the original amount and you triple it. To get this one, you take the original amount and you multiply it by 4. So from here to here, you double it. From here to here, you triple it. And from here to here, you quadruple it. Okay? So the box below it, you can read that when you get into your groups. It's on dilations, and you're going to highlight the vocabulary. All right? Anybody still writing this right here? Okay. I'll give you guys just a few seconds to get that. All right, so up at the top, page 16, it says, Casey decided to dilate her favorite letter C, of course. She dilated several C's using a copy machine. The scale factor, or zoom, tells the copier how much to dilate the figures or text on the paper. For example, if Casey sets the zoom on a copy machine to 200, that is the same as a scale factor of 2. The side lengths of the C would be doubled. If she gets the zoom to 50%, or the scale factor of 0.5, the machine would shrink the side lengths in half, and zoom is often written as a percent, while scale factor is usually written as a decimal or fraction. The copier does not change any of the angle measures. Therefore, there's a glare. Therefore, the copier is dilating the figure. Casey wants to learn more about her dilated C's. Since the scale factor multiplies each of the original polygons, then the ratio of the widths must be equal to the ratio of the heights. Casey decided to show these ratios in the diagram at right. Verify that her ratios are equal. Okay, so here's her ratio of the heights. It's 24 to 8. So I wrote 24 to 8. And then here's her ratio comparing the ratios of the widths, 18 to 6. So I set it equal to 18 over 6. This is called a proportion. So if you have a highlighter, go ahead and highlight the word proportion. If you don't have a highlighter, then just circle it. And it says, a proportion is an equation with two equivalent ratios. After looking at Casey's work, her brother wrote the proportion 8 over 6 equals 24 over 18. Are the ratios in fact equal? How could he show his work on his diagram? Add arrows to show what sides Casey's brothers compared. Okay, the answer is yes. You're going to get the same answer because 6 times 24 is 144, 8 times 18 is 144, no matter which direction you go. Okay, here you would multiply 8 times 18 to get the 144 and 24 times 6 to get the 144. Here you would multiply the 8 times 18 to get to 144 and 6 times 24 to get to 144. So the proportions, the way they set them up, they were both correct. Okay? Part C says Casey decided to create an enlarged C for the door of her bedroom. To fit, it needs to be 72 centimeters wide. If X is the height of this C, write and solve an equation to determine how tall the C on Casey's door must be. Be ready to share your equation and solution with the class. Okay? So if the proportion is 8 to 6, and you want it to be a certain height, and you know that it is 72 centimeters wide, you're going to put the X, the unknown, where the height would be, and the 72 where the width would be. Then you're going to solve by using something called the cross product. So you go 6 times X equals 8 times 72. Multiply 8 times 72 and divide by 6. You're going to get 96. Okay? Part D says, let me move it right there. Okay, Part D says, Casey wanted to make a reduced C to wear on her necklace. She has decided that she would like the height of this C to be 2. What scale factor should she use to create her reduced C from the original figures? So she could either use 2/8 or she could reduce it to 1/4. Okay? What would happen if the scale factor between 2 of Casey's C's was equal to 1? So it would basically stay exactly the same size. Why? Because whenever you multiply by 1, what happens? What happens if you multiply 7 times 1? What do you get? 7. What happens if you multiply 99 times 1? You get 99. What happens if you multiply negative 8 times 1? You get negative 8. So anytime you multiply 1, you're going to stay exactly the same. Okay? Go ahead and flip over to the top of page 17. All right, at the top of page 17, you guys are going to work in groups of 4 on question number 59. It says, Rochita drew triangle ABC at the right and then dilated through the point A to create the triangle ABC prime. All the side lengths are in centimeters. Why are the 2 triangles similar? And you're going to write a similarity statement. For part B, says Rochita then decided to redraw the diagram as two separate triangles as shown below. Write a proportion and solve for x using the corresponding sides. Part C, write a different proportion and solve. Did you get the same value? Part D, how long is AC and how long is AC prime? Part E, what is the ratio of the original segment BC to its image B prime, C prime? Explain. And then your last question is, what is the relationship between line B prime, C prime and line BC? Okay? So you guys are going to answer those 6 questions together, and then you can